order. We are now in the 2014-2015 budget workshop. Gonna get that. We're going to go through this page by page. Do we want to address the budget summary on 2014-15, or do we want to just cover that as we go through the budget? No objections. We'll just go to page 1 on the general fund revenues. What we'll do is we'll stop at each page. I'll ask each the councilmen if they have any objections or want clarification, debate, or what have you on each page. So with page 1. Anything on page 1? Yes.
Summer Festival, do we make revenue on that? I was wondering if that was supposed to be an expense.
Well, there would have been some revenue made, you'd have to show any revenue that you made,
So, okay, so that's in the right place, is what you're saying. Okay. That was my question.
Any other questions on page 1? Moving on to page 2, administration. Any questions, statements, comments, or objections to page 2? Page 3, still in administration. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on page 3, the summer festival, that's a line item that we've done. For some reason, it just popped in my head, it was motor fuel tax dollars that we used. It was not, huh?
Now, motor fuel tax is strictly...
Or not the motor fuel tax, but the hotel, motel. We did not use hotel, motel tax on that.
There's not enough funds in
that. Okay, that's fine. I just circled that. With that, nothing on page 3. Page 4, we are in council. Anything on page 4? Page 5, police.
Well, I guess the one thing I'm going to ask before we get into this, you start looking at, if you put in here for any increases in pay on anybody.
Yes, there are increases included. Of course, it wouldn't be police-wise, because police-wise is contractual. But for everybody else, there's whatever the cost of living would be.
What was that, 3%?
No, cost of living is not 3%. It's 1.2 or 1.3, something to that effect. That would be anyone under there again with the exclusion of law enforcement.
That's a question. You just go ahead.
If it's ready or not.
Go ahead. What other question?
How can we more than double our part-time salaries on the police department?
Each one of the department's heads are here as well, so now the department heads turned in their numbers, so Chief, you feel free to speak to that.
Under the part-time salary, the high school Blue Ridge Schools has voted to continue the SRO program for the next year for the school. It will be done at a part-time basis, just as it was this year. However, this year they will be encompassing all of the payroll responsibility, unlike last year where we did a 50-50 split. So what you're seeing reflected in the part-time salary is the additional funding for the school resource officer, which will be reimbursed by the school district.
So it's in there, but we're going to get it'll be
That is,
paid back, if you will.
that is correct.
Okay.
And Larry, is that taken into account as far as the revenue?
The general fund revenues.
Excuse me. To the one thing, sorry.
Same question, actually. Where do we see those numbers that it's going to be reimbursed in the general fund revenues?
Actually, she did tell me that she had omitted that, so we can do a change on this to where there will be a line. I do remember Ruth telling me that.
As of right now, I've been placing in the service charges so that it did actually have a reflection for this past year of reimbursement that we've received. So it did reflect back towards, even though it's general fund, it tries to recognize the part.
Do you want to see a separate line that shows that specifically?
I think I would like to see that, yes.
Okay.
Make a note of that.
So my understanding is that they are gonna have the resource officer, but they're gonna pay for it.
Absolutely.
So we're seeing a reduction, overall reduction in personnel services with the police department when you take into consideration the schools portion. Okay. Other questions on page 5? Moving on to page 6, still in police.
Equipment under capital outlay. Just curious on that, if we had, what we had planned with that.
I think that was,
That goes back to the explanation on page 1 of the budget summary.
Sorry about that.
Second paragraph, we're allocating some funding from the police department as well as the.
Sure, so
city
that's the-
hall for-
Police portion of,
Correct.
thank you.
While you touched on that, these budget summary items that are on this page here, are these all figured into this total budget here?
Yes.
Okay.
page 7. We are now in the streets. Page 8. We continue with streets.
Equipment, again, under capital outlay, it's gone up from previous years, I'm just curious what.
That is to replace some equipment, a rock chip spreader that is no longer you can get parts for, and it's needing replaced. That is also to replace concrete and demo saw. Both of those have been worked on numerously, and getting to the point where it's costing so much to repair them, it'd be better off to replace them. And to purchase some new barricades.
Thank you.
Is that gonna be an upgrade for the saw and everything, what you got on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything further on page 8? Page 9. We are in recreation.
Larry, do you handle this end of it, or who?
Recreation,
Yeah.
most generally.
Down here at South Park, it's got 22,000 something here. Now, is that monies available for South Park?
Under recreation, everything is for South Park, that's correct.
Okay. Aren't we at one time gonna try to get a restroom out there if we ever get the water and?
Well, there's a plan for that, yeah. So, one of the things is that, we just spent the money on the soccer field. Now there's a parking lot that needs to be built. So there's some stuff out there, keep moving forward with South Park, so.
My understanding is that the Kiwanis, right now it's being stored. The new playground equipment, correct, is being stored.
Yes.
We have all that in storage right now. I do believe they are still, and again, I haven't been to one of their meetings here recently. I believe that they were short $7,000 on getting the people in to oversee the building and some of those expenses. If they were to come in and request that, would that be available for them in this budget?
That'd be up to you folks.
Okay, well, I mean, the money, let me rephrase the question. Are the monies that are allocated, or that you have down here, set for certain projects already?
First thing we're gonna do is get the parking lot built. That's somewhere around 5,000.
Okay.
5,000 is a pretty heavy number that would be using millings. I've called about it, and but that needs to be done. There's some large BMX national races coming up, and with there again with all the grade work that's going on out there, the parking lot's just not big enough.
Okay.
So that'll be back at the soccer field. The parking lot at the baseball field's not big enough either. That's why they keep tearing our grass up. But to answer your question, there should be some funds, whether it be that whole amount or the biggest.
And of course,
portion of it.
Kiwanis raised funds outside of the city for that. I was just curious that all of these monies were designated for another project that you have in mind. So,
No.
any other questions on page 9?
Yeah,
Yes,
where's
sir.
the mowing at?
Where's the mowing?
Yeah, where's it hidden in here? Is it building and property maintenance or?
Yeah, hold on a minute, let me. Contractual services. No. I believe that that is the case under the building property maintenance, that the 10 would be for mowing.
We're not sure.
No, but I'll get you an answer.
Yes, we'll get a question answered. Page 10, we are in Stone Park. Nothing. Page 11, we are in the pool. Now remember that it is, you have to go back to page 2 to see the overall income, and you have pool admissions. They're recommended in the budget is $33,000. And then, what is that? That's pool admissions, and then pool concessions is $2,000. So the pool,
What page is that?
just page number 1 is giving you the income. Last year, we didn't get an actual audited number on that. So there you have 35,000 is what we expect to bring in on the pool.
Do we have an actual number of admissions somewhere?
I don't believe so, unless you put something on the entrances going in there, because there's not someone that truly stands there at that countertop all the time when people come walking in and walking out. I mean, I know that's the case, and you probably know that's the case, because if you've ever been up there, you'll see that all they have to do is walk away from it and somebody could actually be in. Big thing with the pool, and I talked to Rick about this, is looks like the pool's going to be painted this year, and we're hoping maybe that the Clark Foundation can help us with that. So.
Wait, they don't monitor what's coming in to, how much money is coming in through admissions?
Yes, but he wanted to know if we had an accurate number of everybody that walked in and out the door. And
No, yeah, I'm talking about revenue.
Oh, do we have that number?
Yeah, because you see page 1, there's no audited actual number.
What?
I know they sell season passes and stuff
Right, we
like
sell
that.
season passes. Jill brings that information up, and she gives it to Ruth. So could we break that down by number? It could be broken down by number if you actually wanted to know how many people swim in the pool.
No.
I think we could get it pretty
The
close.
only thing I was wondering, do we have a number of the revenue that the pool brings in over the course of the summer?
Yeah.
Okay. 'Cause The pool's not gonna make money,
No,
No, the pool's not there to make money.
Right. but I just wondered,
Is it estimated 2013, 2014? Is that pretty accurate?
I would say so. And by doing the concessions and that, we really cut the losses of what had been up there for a couple of years, so.
By a couple thousand. Where is so painting the pool is not represented on here. We're hoping that Clark Foundation
That's
will.
correct.
Are you wanting to paint it this year?
We're gonna have to touch it up, the whole pool needs painted, Mr. Mayor, but.
Well, the reason I'm asking is Clark Foundation last met in April. I mean, by the time they meet again, the pool's full. So you're not gonna be able to get any funds from them probably for this year. It'd be the next year.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how they are, but I would know that they wouldn't have another meeting.
I don't know. I'm on that, so,
Okay.
they do it every quarter, so I don't. It'll be after it's open.
Well, is there any
Well,
way-
there's not enough, money in the general fund has really been moved around, there's just,
How much does it cost to repaint the pool?
Rick, do you have a halfway close estimate from the last time it got painted?
It's been many years ago, I'm thinking it was around $7,000, but I don't know that for a fact.
Does it need to be painted before we fill it?
Well, they're gonna have to pressure wash it, and then at that time it'll be determined if it absolutely needs painted.
I just think we need to monitor that pool a little closer, get some numbers. At least know where we're at.
How is the money handled each day up there? You know, you got pool, you got passes, people are gonna buy their passes, do they buy them here at City Hall, do they buy them up there, buy them both
Up there.
up there?
Yeah, we don't sell them here. So Jill is her own bookkeeper, and then she brings that information to us.
Okay.
So we rely on the information that.
So you could tell us how much is paid, how much was sold in pool passes last year?
No.
Well, we
Well,
ought
could I tell you? Yes, there would be a record in there.
to, okay.
Yes.
and then the salaries, are they somewhere in this budget here, what estimate of what they'll be paying out?
An estimate of what they'll be paying out.
Yeah, for their lifeguards and whatever, what's their expenses gonna be?
Well, you see what what the actual was from the audit before on the swimming pool.
It's the top page 11.
Because this pool, ever since I've been on the council, it's just been, questions, that's all. And not that we're upset or anything, they're just things we need to
The
know.
other thing that I would like to know though is, I mean, even before budgeting this, I mean, you can contact the Clark Foundation to find out is, number one, does the pool need painted before we fill it? And if that's the case, and the Clark Foundation cannot, or they don't always meet the full obligation anyway, is if it needs to be done, do we need to have that represented on this budget that we're gonna spend? So, I think those questions really should be answered. If we don't have to paint it this year, then we can try to get the money over the next year for the following year.
I would say that it could probably be found somewhere else in the general fund if absolutely had to.
And I'm gonna say,
If we wouldn't have any left with Clark.
then possibly find it or see if it can be represented on this budget form, and then hopefully we can approach Clark and see if they can purchase that. I know that every time I go to Clark Foundation, they are in favor of the pool and they do want to help, but it's just a matter of timing right now.
But they're not bound by
No, they're
anything, they can meet any time. I don't think there's nothing stipulated, they only used to meet once a year.
yeah they
Might meet every quarter now since they sold the farm and all that, but they used to meet just once a year and you did everything at that one meeting about this time of the year.
yeah we just had one.
You just probably had one here, but they could
Pull
meet,
it out of
they could meet again.
Huh?
We could pull it out of
No, don't
recreation.
touch recreation. Although I'm sure Clark will be approached from them too. All right, anything else on page 11? I'm gonna put that down, 7K. Cool. Okay. Page 12 is full again. Anything else?
Is the equipment up there in pretty good shape? There's been a question about that in the past. And there's not, what's not in good shape. We got
Chemical
pumps.
pump was replaced last year. Water department borrowed a chemical pump and then a new chemical pump was ordered. So that ought to be in pretty good shape as far as plumbing, hot water heater, the basic stuff, the hot water heater's just used internally. Everything should be relatively in decent condition. Unfortunately, with the pool,
Well, that's true. I mean, you're dealing with water, you're dealing with chlorine. I mean, I understand that. Because I remember there was one year when it just totally went to hell. And the Clark Foundation had to fit because nobody told me anything about it. It's a nice asset to have in town.
Okay.
It's not used as much as it used to be. I can see that when you drive by, but it's a nice asset to have in town.
We move to page 13. Page 13 is a general description of what we've already discussed. Does anyone have any questions or comments on page 13? Page 14?
No,
Yes, sir.
don't move on yet.
Yes, sir.
Recreation. Recreation is South Park. Park is Weedman, this park across the street. Our mowing bids, is mowing figured into each one of those numbers?
the mowing should be in there, yes. Now, the recreation is the big mowing area, of course.
Right.
So the mowing money comes out of the 22-1,
It should, yes, sir.
and then leave a whole lot in
I'd like to know how much the mowing's, what we got that set up for. So,
Well, I can get you another copy of that contract, but you just pass that.
yeah, I know. How many mows do you figure? 30?
No, I think it used to be like 19 mows, something like that. It depends on how the season goes and.
If you mow once a week, you're gonna have, from May till October, that'd be what? 4 months, 16, 20,
It's just
20 to 25 mows.
and you could,
But looking at it, probably, more than likely, you're figuring on a once a week mow. If you sign a contract, says we mow it once a week, whether it's dead grass or green grass, and you can spray and mow it, and get your money. I think. That's what they got, the mowers got set up, I hope to get that.
And that is one of the questions we have.
Yes.
Where is mowing? And the amount.
And it does come out of this 22-1.
For recreation, but
that's what we'll verify that.
Well, if you're thinking about a 7,000 out of it, or whatever.
well, I'm just saying that I know that number's out there.
Right.
Okay.
And then we've got some parking lot,
Which is 5.
which is 5.
Well, all right. Anything else on page 13? Page 14. Anything on 14?
Your general real estate taxes, what are those numbers? Revenues from what?
Can you tell me which line they're
Fund, audit, 110?
It would be under beginning fund balance
Okay.
18,571 under audit actual. Is that
Those
the
numbers,
number?
yeah, that's right. Where do those numbers come from?
Are you talking about the 22,040?
Well, we can get down to that as far as the total audit revenues, but what is that number? Where's it come from?
that should be the number generated from the, Willard, I wanna make sure I'm on this formula.
It doesn't make any difference. Beginning fund balance, you take revenues, general real estate taxes, interest. Where does the general real estate taxes come from?
That would be the payments received from the county on the beginning fund balance. That would be what's left.
That's what's, okay, it's what's left, it's a carryover from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anything else on 14? Page 15, special revenue fund. Anything on page 15?
So the beginning fund, insurance, that's a carryover from last year is $200,000 of what insurance?
That would be the insurance. I'm not certain, Willard.
Under expenditures, you have unemployment,
Mm-hmm.
insurance, legal.
Okay, well, you pay that out every quarter. I mean, you gotta pay those insurance, you know, you gotta pay your fees out. What kind of insurance is that? You know, I'd like to know what that is.
Okay.
If we don't know now, we'll find it out.
Which is this
Right here, right there.
140. Got it.
Okay, down to motor fuel tax.
Yeah.
You've got a carryover of what, $51,000?
51,178.
Okay.
Be the balance, yes.
Have you got your numbers yet as far as so you know what your motor fuel tax will be for the year?
No, that, it's a little premature because that won't be until Ron Downs comes in, works the program up, and we haven't received the latest statement from IDOT on what the monies coming in are.
The money's each month.
Yes.
You haven't got that yet?
No.
When does that come out? After that, May 1?
I don't know, I'll be honest with you, I don't know that she gets them on a monthly basis.
Well, I think you do. I think you get that stuff.
I know we
You
want,
get it because it was, for one thing, it was in the municipal review last year when we got one. It told you how much money we're going to get each month. You all know how we get motor fuel tax? Motor fuel tax is a per capita based tax. And then the state has it set how much we're going to get as far as each month. I don't know what it is. I'm going to give a number like $5.71 per capita. I mean, that's just a figure I'm coming up with. I don't know if it's right or not. It'll change each month. Sometimes it'll be more, sometimes it'll be less.
right, and they dumped more money in the MFT funds. If you remember, I announced that once, that the state was releasing some extra money, so.
So you're talking, this is what, an engineer that has to come in and tell us this?
Well, no. First of all, I misunderstood a little bit of what you said. Because the engineer works up the program, he'll get with Fred, they'll work up the program for the year. But as far as the balance, this was the carryover. And then again, I'm not sure if she gets those statements from MFT on a monthly basis or if they're quarterly. I thought they were quarterly statements, but they may be monthly. But I thought they were quarterly.
I may be all wrong on this, but I heard that total sales of fuel didn't really enter into this.
No, has nothing to do with it. Has nothing to do with it. Doesn't make a difference how much fuel we sell in this town because it's always predetermined. The biggest thing to worry about in motor fuel tax is when you have a census, is to make sure you get every head count. Because that's a big thing, because you're getting on a per capita basis. I'm not sure what else does come to us on per capita right now, but I know motor fuel tax is the main one that we get that comes to us. Because don't we get a check each month for motor fuel tax from the state?
I don't know that check comes on a monthly basis. I think
I thought that did. I thought that real estate or sales tax,
I think it's quarterly, but
it could be now, but it used to be we got a check every month from them. Is how much we get in, okay, you got a state income tax figure here of 190,000. Sales tax. Okay. Can you produce a sheet? Can you produce something from the Treasury Department of the state of Illinois that shows how much it,
for MFT?
for MFT, for sales tax? And if I knew where to go to, as far as the website goes, you can give that to me and I'll go there and take a look. Also, too, let me go back to some senses.
Which page?
Yeah, just maybe back to even page 1, but the gaming and everything you had in here. I don't know where did I see that at?
That's under.
State gaming and everything.
Mhm.
Okay. We should have now kind of a pretty strong idea how much we're getting in each month from all of these 3 entities in town that are
A little over 1,000.
just, that's all just a little over 1,000 from all 3 of them.
That's what she had been telling us, yeah. Now, keep in mind that,
She being who?
Ruth, when we last talked. Keep in mind that the latest one hasn't been really online very long, because first we went with Randy, and then the Legion went online, and then Wizzy's. So Wizzy's is the newest. So it really hasn't picked up yet, and now we've got Brock Hucks on board. So you'll see an increase in that number, of course.
And then, where will this just go into the general fund on that gaming?
Yes, it is. And there was nothing in the statute that said that you had to assign it to anything in particular.
No, I don't think so. I did ask you for a statement of that, didn't I, Sandy? And I'm not pushing you for it, but I do. I'm just curious to see that, how much each one of these,
It doesn't, it's just
It's a
an
lump
amount as
sum.
a whole.
as a whole, so that you can't break it down. Is there a website that you
Yeah,
can see?
there
what's-
is, there is. I've seen the link, I can see
If you
it.
can find that, I'd like to have that too.
Breaks it down per
You
establishment.
can see it per
Yeah.
county and in per establishment. So they published that in the newspaper here a while back ago. You can see how much each group was bringing in. Yeah. I'll see if I can find that too.
But the gaming, maybe not now, we don't look at that, but maybe in the future, we look at that gaming money and see what that is, and break that out and use that for Heritage Days, whatever. And that's a good source of income. It's a source of income we never had before, we never had to deal with it. So now we got something here that we do have to deal with, we can deal with it and put it towards something that's positive for the community in that way.
Page 16.
The only thing, Larry, I want to explain to me what the beginning fund balance, and I understand what the beginning fund balance is, but why the carryover, whatever, I don't understand that, I want to understand that better.
Okay,
So that's what I want an answer on that.
okay.
Are you coming back with an answer on that then? or-
Yes,
Okay.
and if you'd like, we can always have Ruth come in also in case you have any questions, so.
It was helpful at one time, she did come in.
If, you know, before you endorse this at the next meeting or whatever, you could have her here and
Yeah,
answer
Ruth
any of
here
your
at the next
questions.
meeting. That'd be-
Maybe another time.
Is that what you?
Yeah, I want to hear sometime. I don't know if it's the next meeting when it is, before we have to pass this. I want her to.
Well, it has to be passed by the end of the month.
Well, we can do something before the end of the month.
Okay.
As long as she's here before the end of the month, we'll have to take care of it, whether it's next meeting or
Okay.
even after that.
Moving on, 17. This is crossing guard.
Now, this is kind of a little, I think, I see it every day, you see it most often. This is crossing guard, that's an important job. Does she get raises along with the rest of the employees, or?
She hasn't been, she
Okay.
hasn't received an increase for a while.
Well, I think we ought to consider that, because your child's there, I got grandkids there, it's, that can be an accident there would be a bad deal.
Is this money brought for this through another source in some way?
This just comes out of the
Just
general
out of the general
fund.
fund, there's no other way to give any money for this?
Well, you can, I think you tax for crossing guard. I think there's a special percentage of for the crossing guard.
So there is a tax that we could assess if we wanted to?
And I believe we are.
That'd be something else to know too.
I just think she ought to get an increase along with everybody else.
Or you'd like to see the cost of living increase in her salary?
She would be an employee also, although part-time.
She's very faithful there.
Loves them all.
Huh?
Loves them all.
Yep. Any other questions, page 17? Page 18 is the library. Any questions to the library? Now, this is what they presented to us, correct?
Yeah.
A question or comment, but just seems like they do their own thing, right? And as long as everything jives here, we pretty well let them.
Kind
Right.
Yeah. You go on with it.
Well, that's okay, they have their own, but I mean, we're ultimately, we are,
We are the ones that are over them.
okay, I'm not
He
trying to.
appoints and we approve the board.
Well, there
Is
was an
Rachel coming up
issue.
for reappointment?
Yeah, it's every,
I have not
No.
seen it.
Every 3 years.
Every 3 years they come up? 2? 3 of them come up every 3 years?
we just did it, well,
Two
last year.
every
It was
year.
Like
last
2
year.
of them come up every 3 years.
Correct.
And when did you do the last one?
Last year.
I wasn't here before I got here.
2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago.
It was,
They
yeah.
bring the stuff in.
I can remember it being done.
I remember one of the person's name is no longer on there, no.
Is it opening right now?
Kelly Franklin. She was voted in last time.
I think it's still
I
an
had
opening.
to fill out the resolution last
Yeah,
year.
we need to probably double check that, that's right. She's not on there, I remember her name on there, and she's not on there.
Just there was one time an expenditure that came up to our desk that their funds was not gonna cover.
Well, they brought
You remember
their, it was under the audit they brought in. I don't know if it
There was
was
a
this
question.
meeting or at the Clark Foundation meeting where they brought the meeting in, and every year they have a line item, and I'm looking for it right now where,
Because it was rushed or something, they bring in to
Yeah.
explain it.
Yes.
or they request a certain amount every year that hopefully, if they get that money, they will eventually spend it on it.
It's a roof, isn't
I
it?
think it was the roof too, but I'm not seeing that.
I think it's at 10,000 equipment, I think. Because they didn't spend it last year, they always ask for it, and then they didn't spend it now, because they don't have it. And they keep saying to put that on there just in case the roof fails. That's fine. That's right.
Which is fine, I'm just, if something comes
Should
up,
be in the building.
needed a big ticket item, would we be responsible for it?
You own the building?
Yeah, it's a
Right,
building.
so that's something to
Wow.
consider is all I'm saying.
They'd have to come in and request, I mean.
Right.
They're their own taxing entity, so they would have to come to us if they were. They just can't do it. They would have to come and say, and we have to go along with it or not. Because they have their own revenue fund, their own taxes levied for them. We just oversee it.
Any other questions or comments on page 18? Page 19, again, an overview.
levy, we, how do I ask this? We send it to the county, we send, because we max our levies on everything we can. And we send that to the county, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and then, let's see. What am I? Our EAV, is that played into it?
Yes, it does.
And where is our EAV
Where is it? It's-
number?
What is it currently? I would have to find out.
You don't know that?
I don't know what our EAV is right now, no.
I think that's something you should just roll off. Sorry. I think that's something you should know, and I want to know what that is.
Okay.
Do we know what the EAV is when I ask that question? Your EAV is your equalized assessed valuation. It can flex up and down. One time, 25 years ago, not that same day or not, it was around $10,000. 9 to 10 million is what it was. So,
I think to get it correct, the last time we called down to the county to get it, so.
there's some way we always had that number. I don't know where that came from. I don't know who, if somebody would feed us those numbers and everything, but always knew where the EAV was at. But we get a thing we get it from the county that shows whatever. I thought we got it, but I'd like to know what that is and where it was a year ago, where it is today.
Yeah, I think we had it 2 years ago. I remember having it and looking at it, but I don't know what the number was. But yeah, it'd be nice to see an update.
Yeah, those are things that I think I'd like to see every year, is what the EAV is and where we're at with that, because it can flex and all that. It does make a difference in how much money we're receiving.
Page 20 is TIF.
Now, have we got a payment from TIF yet?
No.
And that's coming when?
I believe that one comes the beginning of June.
When's our final payment on that?
Should be, I believe, October.
And the June payment's gonna be roughly how much?
Should be somewhere around 200,000, I believe.
So we have roughly about $350,000 left over from the last.
Currently,
Yeah.
or, no.
So this figure right here is what?
That figure there is, well, that figure is because the TIF committee's made pledges. Those payments have not been made. So you could look at that figure right there, and you could say, yes, that right now that balance is there. But you have passed agreements, and those payments have not been made yet. So the accurate number is somewhere around 90,000 that is actually available after all those obligations are. There would be about 90,000.
And what obligations do we have hanging out there right now?
Farmer City Market still is doing their remodel, and Fields Pet Care came in. If you remember, the council approved both of those. So, some pretty good payments on both of those.
And there a third one?
Well, Randy, you approved Randy up at Tri-County for a roof. He hasn't done that yet because 14,000 or something.
This bottom figure down in the right corner, that's close, 69,000 something.
I'm not sure where 69,000 would come from, because I remember that the last number that I saw, Mac, was somewhere in the 90s area.
And then we'll have 2 more payments and then
We're done.
Anyone have anything else on TIF on page 20? We move to TIF 2, and that's page 21.
expenditures. Developer's expense, can you explain that to me?
But you're still making payments to the developer, and I'm not sure exactly how long that runs. I would have to see, but that's the annual payment to Mr. Zindar's.
And we're paying him for what?
We're paying him for what?
Well, did he put the infrastructure in?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, we laid the water main and sewer pipe out there, and he did the rest of the infrastructure.
You say you don't know how much longer we have on this?
That to actually be paying Mr. Zindar's? No, I could get you that.
please do.
Have to go back to the contract. Do you know Sandy?
What kind of a payment do we receive into that? We receive that twice a year, is that right?
Yes.
What kind of a payment do we receive into that?
It should be in here.
Well, I guess maybe the revenue would be the one, I mean, that's what we should be looking at, is the, around $340,000.
Yeah, they're on the top line. Yeah, and I came to you once because, you know, those folks out there want sidewalk and I mean, there's some money that could be spent here to improve that out there in that
Well,
subdivision.
That's what I'm looking at down there at the bottom. There's some pretty hefty numbers there. Are these monies available to us to do some things out there?
Yes.
Not just there, but in that hole in the town. That hole in the town can sit there and benefit from the TIF fund, because everybody's paying into it. Correct?
If you're paying into the TIF fund, then you'd be eligible for the use of it.
Yeah. I say we're paying into it, it's breaking out our taxes, we're not paying anything additional.
Well, no, it's not.
It gets confusing, and since that's on camera, I don't want somebody looking at it and saying, oh, we're paying.
Redirected.
No, it's redirected, that's right, things are redirected, we're not paying any additional, it's just.
The sidewalk has never been put in out there, and the sidewalk from out there connecting to the town, that falls into this TIF, so it's just a matter of where you would place that sidewalk.
Because that's been the issue here lately, how we do that. Now, we have, we can put sidewalk in out there. We have the right of way to do so and everything. It's part of the, every lot knows that there can be a sidewalk put in.
It was developed to have sidewalk, and then I don't know why it was ever eliminated. That was way before my time. But the original design,
Are there people that are asking about it?
Yeah.
Yes.
they have over the years.
Then I think we need to find out about that, why it was dropped, if we can come in there and do that, if we have the
Funds.
well, if not the funds, but you're gonna have the legal means to go in there and do that. If we don't have an easement to be able to put a sidewalk in, and we're gonna get a sidewalk in unless we get an easement from everybody to do so, correct? I would
Correct.
think. So I think we need to find that out. And then we need to probably do something with that out there and start using that money to not only help that subdivision, but like I said, also to help that in the town that it, and TIF district encompasses, because it takes up, basically, it goes from High Street to the north, Main Street to the east, and to the south, probably, on the other side of the highway.
And there is a person very serious about building houses out there. You know, that would be a means.
There is somebody that's wanting to build some houses?
A local person, yes. So,
And how many lots we have left, is there left available? You know,
well, you
We
just
had the old,
go north, so you got the whole subdivision.
yeah, but you can't go north, you know, you gotta get Stewart to come
Well,
through.
you've
don't you?
only, well, that's true. That's why there's no sidewalk out there connecting the town to that subdivision, but I believe there's 3 empty lots.
Okay, 3 empty lots and the track that's open right now.
Right.
So
But
beyond that track, that north of there, we have got to come back to the subdivider to get his permission to do that, get the rest of it.
Right.
which might be a bit of an issue now since he is no longer in our presence. Right?
Right.
Right. So there's no guarantee that he's gonna come through and want to subdivide that, even though it's there, even though I'd like to see it subdivided just as much as anybody else around here would, but there's no guarantee he's gonna come back and subdivide that.
No, but
And I think
he was resisting even the sidewalk, to be honest. So, he had been contacted numerous times by previous city managers trying to get him to sign off on the sidewalk that would connect the subdivision to the city and would never sign some of the paperwork. So, I'm not sure why,
But I think maybe we need to pursue that a little bit more over this next year. Because we're not gonna sit there and sit on this money and not do anything if we're gonna have to sit there and fight him on this thing. And we're not gonna give it up, but we've paid, his money's been paid, taken out of our taxes to go into the TIF fund and everything, and we're gonna do something about this. We're not gonna let this sit. I'm tired of letting it sit and not do anything.
the person who would like to build houses wants to go north.
Well, then they have to get a hold of him, because Stuart's gonna be the one they're gonna get hold of.
And he has.
He has,
Yes.
and so. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
And the reason I asked about that is, there were some things that I've been told that were promised to those people out there that, that things were gonna come in and that subdivision that hasn't come in. And if we're still paying this $120 a year, we've got a little leverage there. And, I mean, I don't know.
I thought they promised, what was it,
Playground,
So-
and
Supposed to be a park out there too.
because one of the residents works at the school there, she's a secretary, and she was asking me, how come some of these things, since that's what was promised, why they didn't, I assumed it was, a financial thing. But we need, like you said, go look into this.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that were to be done. There's supposed to be like commercial property out there too, to the south. Park was supposed to be in there. I'm not sure who all was supposed to be. That's going too far back. We're going back
Long way.
20 years, and I can't remember that far back. Damn, like 120 minutes ago. So,
Page 22. Now, utilities, water. This is the revenue. $365,500. Recommended budget. Keep that number in mind.
this is for the waterfront.
Yes, sir.
To our water superintendent, I understand we are moving forward on the meters and everything.
Yeah, we began to order some meters. We got a couple dozen in already, and I think this,
And what part of town are you working in?
we are working wherever. Chad and I went through a list of 151 zero read meters, as you talked about, and a lot of those were meters of people being out of town and meters that never move. There are quite a few properties in the town that they're zero read meters because they don't move because nobody lives there and for other things. So we've identified 51 properties that we feel need replaced, and that's where we're starting. And in addition to
51
that,
out of 160, or just what you've gotten to so far?
51 that he identified that he said are broken or not moving that need to be replaced in the whole town. Now, in addition to that, we started to replace some meters out in the Prairie subdivision right now with some old meters that we had that are 3/4 inch meters, just because we have them and we're changing them and going to radio read. It eliminates a lot of the human error and the time it takes to read the meters. So we're working all over town, trying to replace broken ones, trying to upgrade other ones with meters that we have. And in addition, there is included in the budget some meters to to cover all of the broken ones, one by one.
Okay.
So you say we were looking, I replaced one on Depot Road yesterday, I replaced 2 on Prairie Subdivision the day before, one on High Street, just all over.
Water hydrants,
Water-
fire hydrants. The ones with the yellow spray on the top, are they the bad ones?
You know, I haven't actually opened each and every one of those fire hydrants because we're coming off of a winter year, but those were identified and a list was brought to me of possibilities of problems. And now I do think that some of the ones that are painted yellow still function, however, they're outdated and maybe cause a little bit of problem when the fire department would attempt to use them as far as they're connected to old water mains or something like that. So we've identified 10 that we'd like to look at this year and change. And that's also in the capital outlay budget. So basically, that's what we're looking at for water, is replacing meters, trying to bring them up to date, as well as replacing ones that are not functioning, and fire hydrants that are a problem, and putting in new ones, putting valves on them so that we can work with them easier in the future.
Okay. What kind of meters are you using?
Do you know, I don't actually know the name of them off the top of my head. I don't know. The ones that are compatible with the system that you folks put in for radio read years ago. We dealt with the same supplier, and we continue to use those. I don't know the name.
Could you let me know that?
Yes,
I'd like to know that, if you could, please.
Radio system is Itron.
Itron.
The radio system is Itron. It works electric and water. What he's dealing with now is a new type of meter, so the heads are all radio compatible.
Yeah, I don't know the name of the meter, but I'll get it for you.
Thank you.
Still in the water fund. I'm looking at page 23.
The thing where we are putting up new hydrants, where's that coming out of? Is that for sure on the,
That would be your capital.
okay.
30,000 will be depending on how many hydrants they get to. 3,000 per hydrant, so if you're looking at truly upgrading 10, Canada, you could set and do 10 a year until you got some of the older ones replaced, because there are a lot of old fire hydrants in Farm City. But that's a capital line.
Thank you, 'cause that's what I was trying to find out for sure what it was on.
I think that's, we should,
Yes.
Needs to be done.
That's the game plan.
That's just the fire hydrant, and then we need an entire staff to do that, and it takes shutting water mains down, because none of the old fire hydrants have valves on them. So
Are you putting valves on them when you put them in?
we will put valves on, that's inclusive of $3,000 per hydrant. Hydrant comes with a valve.
So you have to, this summer, when they start that, we're gonna have to educate the public, because there's gonna be a lot of inconveniences with the water while that's being done, but they should appreciate the final result of a new working fire hydrant in their area, so.
Then, once we get these new fire hydrants in and replaced and operational, I hope we start flushing them on a routine basis. Are you a fire hydrant flusher?
I was a fire hydrant flusher in
That's
Forest.
good. You have no problem with doing this. You know, there
No.
always seems to be a problem in the past. We're going to tick off if we flush fire hydrants, because my personal feeling and somewhat of my background and my knowledge in the past and everything from doing this, that they should be flushed maybe some once a month, some of them maybe every quarter. As long as the weather's fit, they don't freeze up, we can flush hydrants. And even we go into like November, I think December, if it's a warm winter, I think that,
I think there is
I think
something.
there's a benefit to
forward,
it.
isn't it?
I think the city, before my time, one of them flushed twice a year, if I remember correct.
One time I thought we passed something that was four times a year, but starting in, I believe it was end of March, and then the last one would be in November.
The other thing too, I would flush them when people could see them being flushed. I mean, so people can physically see that you are doing it. Doesn't have to be done in the middle of the night. You know, they used to come around, the fire department used to do this. Growing up here, they would flush the fire hydrants, you know, 6 o'clock in the evening, you know, might get everything riled up, but they flushed it, you know, we could see it happening. I remember as a kid watching, you know, this thing going on during the day and everything. But to flush the fire hydrants is because it has to be a benefit, isn't it? It knocks that crud out of there that builds up because of the oxidation of the chlorine onto the iron and everything that's in the water, and we got this treatment plant, and so, and that's going to break it loose too.
There's certainly a benefit to doing it, as long as you don't tear anything up.
That's
You do
right.
it correctly.
Is there any questions or comments on page 24, the last of the water? Obviously, the from page 22.
I have one question too
65.
about revenues on this water thing. Tap-on fees. That's always been an issue in this town about how much is a tap-on fee.
Okay,
Certainly-
you're looking at page 25.
Yes.
All right.
If anything, I think that ought to be a consistent number. Yeah, I know we could go, I could sit there and think of one on Allen Street. That used to be an issue right there. That was a $900 tap-on fee or something like that, where maybe over here on Market Street, it was only a $300 tap-on fee. I think that needs to be a consistent number. I don't even know what we're even add on that anymore.
Well, the only thing that I would, would interject with that is if there was some work done and a grant was given, then it may dictate with the income on what that tap-on fee would be.
If that's the case, then you got nothing to say about that.
Right, but the ordinance should dictate what the tap-on fee is. So, and I thought it was $250, but I may be wrong right now. But the ordinance would state what the tap-on fee is.
What ordinance have we passed lately, or where are we at? Is it an old ordinance?
It's, yes, it hasn't been updated.
How old an ordinance is it?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
I don't remember whenever we ever saw it. I don't remember seeing anything have a tap-on fee.
Tap-on fee is in the
Or the
ordinance.
tap-on fee, it wasn't consistent. It wasn't consistent. It was, and there wasn't any grant work that was done. I don't think. Or maybe I might be wrong about that in that.
That would be the only reason there would be any fluctuation that I would know of. Same with sewer work. The sewer work, the tap-on fee would be different depending on if there was grant. So, but the tap-on fee should be spelled out for both in the ordinance.
But I think that's something I'd like to know too. If, you know, where we're at with that, and the tap-on fees and stuff.
Do you want it increased, or you just
Well, I'm
want?
not asking the increase. I want to know where we're at on it. You know, what the number is. If there is an ordinance out there, I want to know what the ordinance is. If there's some other thing in town that
It would be in your codification book.
I'll look in there and see what we got. But also too, if I don't find it, I'll let you know.
Okay.
So being on page 25, are there any questions towards that? Do you note that the total sewer revenues per budget is $66,940 short of what we plan to spend for that year? We got
I've got a comment or question here.
Oh, that's wrong too.
We'll get to that.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second then. So if there's no question, no, what's your comment, Mac? I'm sorry.
Well, I'm looking at the water on page 24.
Yes,
I'm looking at the beginning fund balance on 25. And these were the numbers that I mentioned to Larry the other day that keep floating around. It's 2,200,000 and some thousand on water. We got $1,360,000 on the budget. These are these big dollar numbers I've been hearing about. Are these monies available?
You're asking, do you have 1,300,000 that you can go out and spend tomorrow?
That's what I'm asking. And then on this one, it says, budget of $2,146,000 on the water. It just says that money's available at the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, that is the cash reserve. I mean, that is cash that you can spend.
So we do have, and this,
Yeah.
I've been
Well,
told we
if you
don't
look
have
at
it.
your, well, if you look at your, like your sewer, you're spending that reserve, if you will.
okay, so, then they're not a,
That's what we were doing like with the power company for a long time. You had money in that fund, but every year it was, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the hole, so you were spending that money. You're doing that right now in the sewer, where the water, you're adding to those funds. And you need to do that every year. I mean, every year you need to be adding to that. That way, if you do have an emergency or crisis or a big project that you need to do, or you have to redo 2 engines in the power plant, you pay for it.
no, I agree with it,
So,
I just,
but yeah, that money's available, so
okay.
if there was work.
But I've been hearing lately that it isn't, so I just wanted to clarify.
You just asked us Monday night.
Pardon me?
You just asked us Monday night if we have it available or not.
Yeah, anyway, evidently it is.
Then, what page are we looking, 26?
Yeah, that's it.
And you had questions on which page?
Well, I got one on 26.
Okay.
For, looks like for health insurance, we got that down at 1,000. Is that an error? It looks like it's been roughly 10 previous to that. Doesn't look like something that would naturally drop. The third
I'm gonna
one.
say that's an error.
Okay.
So we've got
That can be a costly error there, 9,000 if that's true.
35 plus.
Then I got push on the next page.
Hold on, let's see.
Yeah.
That, okay, so the 45,850 is not representative of that, so that could be upwards to 54,850, is what I'm saying? Okay. Good catch. And page 27,
Under total maintenance supply services, there's not a total there. And it doesn't look, because there's not a total there, it looks like it's not carried forward to total commodities, which means that's 19,500 that's not taken into account. So that line item down there at 17,000
Yeah.
should be 36,500.
so
That's
you're,
all correct.
okay, that's what you're saying, so it's not 66,000, you're looking
So-
at
86,000.
29,000, so 66, like that. You're about $100,000.
Where you at?
86,440. So, under total maintenance supply services, in the top third there.
No, it's more than that, you're 9,000,
Well, I didn't catch the 9,000 until just now. Yeah, you're right, the 9,000.
so you're about 100,000 in the hole.
Right here, there's not a total here.
Okay,
Alright, so, doesn't look like that's carried forward either because of that. I mean, you gotta, yeah, so you
on
want,
commodities.
there's nothing there. And this is 17,000 here, so this total should be inclusive of this, which it's not. So that's 19,500 in that missing spot, which makes that 36,500. Which means, yeah, now we're talking, with that total, it's 86,000, if we're missing 9,000 on page 26, then that gets us up to 95,000 in the hole for this year. Should say 9,000 over revenues, or 90,000, excuse me, over revenues, 95. Which is not good.
You gotta stop that, Lee. I mean, you're gonna have to look at, obviously, you're not gonna be able to cut $100,000 from the budget, so you're gonna have to look at I mean, I hate to even say that, but you gotta look at a revenue increase. 'Cause that's exactly what got us in trouble with that power plant, bleeds like that. Any questions to page 26, 27? Page 28, it's electric fund. This is your income. Total electric revenues is estimated to be $2,842,100. Any questions on page 29? You had one?
I just have one under equipment.
Got it?
We're at 50,000 on that. I assume that's for a project. I was curious on what that was.
We have some maintenance agreements and some annual inspections that need to be done. That falls into that category.
Okay. Just a big increase over the previous year, so I was curious.
Yeah, it's a marginal for, one of the agreements is a little pricey, but it's a 5-year deal, so,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
We were talking about electronic read and the water meter, what about our electrical? If we-
Moving right along just as fast as we can go.
And how fast is that?
Not fast enough because you don't have enough money. It would take to do 200 meters, it takes $5,000. And I've been buying over the past, it takes $5,000 to do 200 meters. And that's a reduced rate, they're used retrofitted meters. It takes, I've been buying 12 a month for the past 2 years, put them in as we go.
And are these electronically read meters or?
Yep, electronic read, yeah, I don't buy anything but a radio read meter. They're all solid state, everything that we're.
So we've been
putting in
doing
is
this for a
state-of-the-art.
while then?
I've been doing it for a long time. Yes, sir.
Do you have an estimate how many more you have to do?
A lot.
A lot.
Well, how many meters do we
I
have in
have,
town?
I have approximately 1,100 meters left to
How many meters do we have in town?
go. There's about 1,250 electrics that I know of. 80 of those are three-phase meters. We probably only have about, I'm going to say less than half a dozen of those changed.
So you're doing 12 a month?
I've been buying 12 a month.
And you say they're 5,000 apiece?
No,
No.
5,000 for
Five.
200.
5,000
And
for
that's
200.
at roughly $40 a piece.
And we should,
Most
our environment, we should have the money for that, shouldn't we?
1,100? Right about
Well,
there.
maybe not, maybe not
And
1,100.
the water meters, just so you know, they're $160 a piece.
Right.
Water meters,
Double radio read electronic water meters.
And your three-phase electric meters are $500 a piece.
that's what I'm,
Now, right, and then there's, if they're new enough, we can get them taken in and retrofit those and put radio read modules in them, and we can get it for about half price. But again, it's a slow process, just buy a few a month.
So how often do you change meters out?
How we get enough to do a section, we go do them, otherwise I change them when the meter goes bad.
You don't change out every 3 years, every 5 years?
I used to test board on a 6-year rotation, and then about 3 years ago, I decided to start using that money to start putting back into meters. We just started, we would have started testing last year, and so we've been just using, been trying to use that of the general operating fund to just change meters. It's not been laid in the capital because we've been, up until this year, I was told I was broke, so I just did the best I could with what I had.
As far as I'm concerned, the electric plant should never. Should. Yeah, I'm wrong.
Definitely not this year. Project 180,000 increase, which is great.
And as long as the capital projects don't come through, like, you know, I speculate doing capital projects, but if they don't come through, you know, like towards the end of the fiscal year, we can always order up a lot, but I try to keep money available for emergencies and whatnot, and we have some projects that we want to do, but, you know, the wind blows different direction every day, so you never know, so, you know, if you gentlemen want me to dump the money in, just tell me, I'll dump it.
We want to spend wisely, I mean,
I
if
understand
these, I mean, if there's things that need to be done, we need to do them.
You're obviously making a good pace doing it the way you're doing it.
Yeah.
that. Well,
I mean, it's
I
slow
mean,
but steady, you're
it's-
making gains.
It's a nice steady. Your biggest meter route has approximately 270, I believe, 270 meters on the route. So if you do it, there's 9 listed, you technically have 10 routes, because one route is so big it's split down. But if you do those, you know, if you kind of break them down and do them a little bit at a time, and, you know, do it as you can afford to do it, but we've almost got one route done, couple, you know, we could start on another route. It just, slow and steady, guys. You know.
What if you doubled it and went to, say, 400 meters a month? Could then be put in?
Not 400 meters.
Not 400.
If you doubled it, it'd be 24.
You mean by 24 meters? I was doing that for a while. Yeah, I mean, I can do that. And like I said, I've been running on a pretty lean budget because I didn't know I had any money, honestly. So I mean, I can beef it up a little bit, and we can proceed. I do not have a problem with that at all.
Well, I would prefer not to break even every month.
No, we need to.
I like to see funds going in, you know.
When we talk about this, Reed, what do we hold, have the handheld machine towards it and that reads it?
No, the handheld, it's sent out a signal, and I mean, we've set a power plant while he was just showing us how to do it, and he hit the read button and he read meters and Prairie Ridge. I mean, some of the electric meters will read clear across town on a good day, some of them don't. Basically, you have this handheld unit and you walk by and you send the signal to read, and everything that gets this call-up signal will send a response back. And then you kind of have to look at it. I'm not real schooled on it, but you have to kind of look at it and see which meters responded and which didn't, and you might have to go get closer to the meters that did not respond. Water meters are a different animal. Water meters, some of them can respond very well. Some of them you have to be within 200 yards. Some of them you have to be on top of it. It just depends. Atmosphere depends on how close the earth, the transmitter, is to the top of the meter pit. Most of the earths these guys are getting are 60 watt. I believe they're still 60 watt earths, aren't they? So, and that's a fairly powerful transmitter. So I mean, it does a good job, but yeah, I mean, once the system is up and running, you should have a really good read system, and it's well maintained. I mean, the style of that system has been out there for many years. So.
I was noticing here, we don't pay unemployment insurance? Or is it something else?
We do what?
We don't pay unemployment insurance?
Oh, yes, we pay
I
them.
was gonna say, where's it listed at?
Oh, for the zero there?
I think every one of these,
Should be a-
I guess it's all right under the insurance, isn't it?
We're definitely paying unemployment insurance.
It's not on page 15. 15?
15.
That's where that's at, right?
Mm-hmm. And on 40.
And I don't know why it's not broken down per department. I'm looking here at last year's, and it was set up the same way.
Loss in sewers. Any questions, any more questions towards electric department?
Yes.
Yes.
How we doing on the building? Is it done down there? Insulated and painted,
far as
roof
what?
done?
Now, the gas got installed in February. The roofer is supposed to show up next week. I'll put that for 2 weeks. As soon as the roof gets done and puts leaking inside, then we can get the insulation in it and start putting the thing back together. But as long as the roof leaks, we can't.
Right. Will that be still last year or this year's? Expense for that?
The roofs was a resolution from the year that we're in, and that's it. A check will be cut and will be held until the job's completed.
Anything to the budget?
Ruth's gonna be at our Monday meeting. and-
Yeah, can you have Ruth here at the next meeting, please? If we didn't pass it on that day, you still have that, still be able to have a meeting on the 28th. What was that, sir?
We don't have to meet on Monday nights, we can meet any night,
Which
whatever
yeah.
works, you know. 11th hour.
Anything else to the budget? Adjourned.